What's up guys, it's Derek and Lindsey here. If you have possession of any money and you don't have a budget for it, simply put, you're failing at using that money.
Let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You go to the grocery store, you start putting things in your cart and you think to yourself, okay, I'm gonna make this for dinner, and you start putting things in, oh, that looks good, that's something to snack on, blah, blah, blah. And you start walking through. You get to the end at the checkout and they ring you all up and you think, ooh, that was more than I intended on spending, but oh well, and you swipe your card and you go. How many times has that happened to you?
Guys, you need a budget. If you have money, you need a budget. It's plain and simple. A budget is there to allow you to take control of your money instead of allowing your money to control you. You should not be charged fees from your bank for overcharging your account. You should know how much things are going to cost. You should know how much money you come in, how much leaves you. You need to make sure you have a budget. Today we're going to talk about 3 things that you need to know to make a successful budget so that you can start owning your money and have it work for you. Before we get started, make sure to smash that like button, leave any comment down below, make sure to subscribe, help us out with the YouTube algorithm.
Let's start off a little bit by just talking about what a budget is and kind of the mindset you want to get yourself into, because budgets are not negative. It's not restrictive. It's not saying, oh, I can't do this, that, and the other thing because I'm on a budget. It's not like that at all. It's really your first step to financial freedom. It's the first step to controlling your money so that you can do what you want to do.
Step 1 is to know your income. Know how much money is going to be coming into your bank account, and this is going to be the foundation for your budgeting.
A lot of times we hear people talk about how they can't really do a good budget because their income is inconsistent. Maybe you work off of tips or anything like that. And we understand that that can make it a little bit more tricky. But here's the thing, your bills, they're gonna still be consistent. So your rent, your utilities, your phone bill, those are things that are all gonna be consistent. And I'm assuming you're still gonna wanna do things like go out and spend your money. So it's important to have a budget regardless if your income is inconsistent.
So what I took away from that is if I'm going to be spending my money, I need to be able to figure out how I'm making that money, regardless of when it comes in.
Exactly, because the point is at the very end of the day, you're still going to want to spend your money doing whatever it is you want to do, and then you also want to save your money too. So in order to save and spend, it's important to know where your money's going. Like we do a monthly budget because our income is consistent and we know what we're going to make every single month. The other reason we do that is because our bills are pretty much monthly. Our utilities, our phone bill, our mortgage, everything comes monthly.
Now that you understand your income, step 2 is to list your expenses.
So the first expenses we want to start looking at are your fixed expenses, because these are the ones that are going to come every single month without fail, and you know how much they're going to be. So that would be like your rent or your mortgage, your insurance, maybe any debt payments that you might have, if you pay an HOA or anything like that, cell phone, things that come every month and you're like, okay, I know that my cell phone is gonna be $100 and it's gonna come every single month. I know that my mortgage is $700, it's gonna come every single month. And that's how you budget out for those things. Start with the ones that you know are gonna come, you know exactly how much they are, and then you can work with what you've got after that for more variable expenses.
Okay, so the variable expenses would be things like groceries, or maybe you're going to go out to eat for a restaurant or an activity, things that don't typically happen on a schedule.
Right, I mean, groceries is one of those things where obviously you have to buy groceries because we're humans and we have to eat. But groceries is definitely more variable in the sense that you have a bit more control over how much you can spend, because honestly, I could go to the grocery store and drop $300 every time I go, but that would not be prudent to the budget, so I don't. So as far as our budget goes, I tend to keep it around $100 a week. That's what I like to do, but usually it ends up being more.
Fluctuates up and down a little bit more up.
A little bit up from there, but I do have room in the budget because I like to keep us below budget if I can.
Yeah, so for this one, for groceries, now if I think about our personal budget, taking out the mortgage, groceries or food expenses are our number 1 item.
Yeah, after household expenses, food and like groceries are definitely our number 1 item.
Number 1 variable expense, right?
Yeah, right. And I think it would be that way for most people.
If you're averaging, like you said, around $100, $120 a week, then don't undercut yourself in this one. Right? A plan for what you need. If you're trying to save money, that's a good opportunity to say, hey, what are we buying that's like name brand that we could switch over to others and cut costs? But if you've already done that and you're pushing on the grocery budget already, look at other areas.
I'm gonna go ahead and just give you a couple of gold nuggets that I use to try to save money. I only go to the grocery store once a week, because the more you step into that grocery store, the more money you spend. And that's just a fact, right? You walk in, you spend money. So I try really hard to make sure that I only go to the grocery store once a week, so that I have my list and I make sure that I meal plan. That's my second gold nugget, is I make sure that I have a list of things and I say, Monday we're having this and this and this and this. And keep in mind, we are a family of 4, we have kids. So, $120 a week I think is fairly conservative.
Monday through Sunday you have a meal planned out, and that way on your grocery list you could write out what you need to fill that plan.
Exactly.
And that way when you go to the grocery store, it's not a surprise of what you need to purchase, or you don't have those impulse buys to say, okay, hey, this is on the shelf, let's get it, or the kids are going to grab these off the shelves. In fact, with the current environment, what you've been doing is not even going into the store.
You know what? That is my golden nugget number 3. I don't think I'll ever go back to just doing my big grocery stores where I walk around by myself in a store, even after all of
the current environment
is over, because I save money by shopping online, because the kids aren't with me to just grab things and be like, Mom, I want go-go squeeze. I still buy those online, but you know what I'm saying? They want snacks and all types of things.
$5 here, $10
exactly.
here, $3 here. At the end, it's 40 extra bucks that you weren't planning on within that meal plan. But
exactly. And so I think I save definitely more money. I actually have been able to keep our family of 4 under $100 by shopping online for a week.
So it's saved quite a bit.
Yeah, it has saved quite a bit.
With groceries or food being one of our biggest expenses, the biggest takeaway here is to have your budget so that you know how much you can spend, and then have a shopping list so you know what you're going to be spending on, and the two are going to be married together to help you take control of your money.
Absolutely.
Groceries is a big variable expense for us. That's why we spend a little bit more time talking about it. But some other things that you need to be aware of are like utilities, like electric, water, gas for your home, vehicle fuel, entertainment, self-care, hobbies. Think about your variable expenses that don't happen monthly and that the price isn't fixed every single month. And these are variable expenses that you should plan into your budget so that you don't feel guilty about using money on them.
Now we're going to show you a budget example. Keep in mind that we know that these numbers are not totally accurate, and there's going to be a lot of variable when it comes to your specific situation. Just take the numbers for what they are. We totally made them up and we realize they are not realistic. So the income that we're going off of here, we're going to start with a $4,000 monthly income, and we're just going to start listing some of these expenses, right? So we got rent, savings, utilities, investments, insurance, internet, cell phone, and debt. Then we have some variable expenses: groceries, hobbies, eating out, fuel for your car, toiletries, entertainment. And then we're just gonna start listing out all these costs for it. So we've got all the monthly bills listed out here. Again, they're just made up. So I'm not going to read out every single cost because you can plainly see it, but I am going to point out 2 things: the savings and the investments. So savings, we recommend that you put in 5% of your monthly take-home pay into savings. So for this income example, 5% is $200. And then investments, we recommend 15%, so that would be $600 in this example. For more information on how to get started with making investments, go ahead and click over to our investment video. I put it in the cards for you. So if we add up our total monthly budget here, all the numbers that we budgeted out for, that number comes out to be $2,540. So we have a $4,000 monthly income and we've budgeted out costs for $2,540. That leaves a lot of money left over, about $1,460. So if you were just going to the store willy-nilly and just buying things, you might blow through that really easy, or if you're just going out to eat all the time and you would have no idea. But if you budget, and feel free to use some of this extra money to put towards anything extra that you want, that you would like to do, or if some holiday is coming up. These are the reasons why you make a budget.
In our example, your income was $4,000. Our combined expenses were $2,540, leaving you with $1,460 left over. Now, this is the point of the budget. It allows you to be able to discover this unused money that you haven't planned for. So a couple of things that you could use this money for is look at your budget, look at line items where you're suffocating in, and potentially increase them a little bit. If you're like, okay, I can't do $100 for groceries, well, luckily for you, you just did your budget and you can see that you have $1,400 left over. So you can cushion that a little bit more into a realistic budget for you and your family. Another approach that we would recommend is look beyond the month that you're budgeting for. Start to create other line items that are long-term.
Some of the things with this extra money are you're going to want to prepare for long-term goals, things like buying a home, which we have a whole series on. If you want to look at our playlist for buying a home, we have a whole series on it. But there's also things that you can think about in the future, such as your children's going to college or braces or many things that just come down the line, planning for Christmas, and you can just make sure that you're planning ahead instead of worrying about every single month-to-month paycheck.
Like we said in the beginning, if you're not budgeting, then you're failing with your money. Creating this budget allows you to be a winner with your money. It allows you, like Lindsey was saying, allows you to be able to look into the future of what you will need the money for. So plan now for your future and be a winner with your money now, starting to budget today.
The next part of creating a budget, and arguably the most important part, is to keep track of your expenses. This is going to be the hardest part because it's what's going to take the most due diligence. Because every time you make a purchase, you're going to want to record that underneath the appropriate category that you've allotted in your budget.
Not recording your expenses will undermine your budget. You have to do this part. It's critical to make sure that you stay within your budget. It's critical to make sure that you're not overspending in certain categories. There is the envelope system where you actually have the cash in an envelope labeled for the budget. We personally don't do that because we like to try to keep it digital. And for us personally, we've used about a half a dozen different budgeting apps. The one that works best for us is the Every Dollar app provided by Dave Ramsey. There is a free version for it. We are not sponsored in any way by this, but it is an app that has worked for us personally. It allows us to track our income, our expenses, we categorize them, and then we can log into the app immediately after we make a purchase and log that transaction to make sure that we're within our budget. Now, when you're going through all of this to be able to create your budget, it's really important to make sure you're on the same page with your spouse or your partner or whoever that you're going to be sharing your money with.
I think the first thing here is what really needs to happen is to share your spending habits. You know, who goes out to eat the most, who picks up things at the grocery store, like what are your spending habits? Because these are just like the little things that are eventually going to become a big deal. You know, if somebody's always going out to eat and it just spending money here and there, and it just becomes big expenditures over time.
It's really good to have that open discussion, and a budget is a good transition into that, where you can discuss your budget, whether it's a combined budget or a separate budget. It's really important to understand the habit around money.
It's really important also to have money goals together. Where do you see yourselves in 5 years, 10 years? What do you want to accomplish? Where would you like to retire? You know, of course life happens and things like that, but it's good to have money goals. Or what kind of a house would we like to have? You know, what are your career aspirations? You know, things like that are going to be really important in your life together. So discuss them, figure it out, have goals for your retirement if you want to travel or things for your life that you want to do. All of these things are going to cost money, so it's important to budget for them.
We really enjoyed sharing our personal thoughts and perspectives on the budgeting. We'd love to hear yours. Please leave any comment down below.
Go ahead and smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So it's just easier for our situation to do a monthly
budget.
Yeah.
What you looking at?